Welcome to another episode of the Ink and Impact podcast. And today I am honored to have a new guest on the show today, David Nassief. And we are going to really explore a variety of different avenues, but it all goes back to how a message of hope can turn into a movement and how your unique story, your personal experience can be transformed into a book, but not just a book, a movement that helps others. And so I could go on and share a lot about David, but I just want to really allow him to share his own backstory and introduce himself. So, David, welcome to the Ink and Impact podcast.
Thank you, Dalene. I'm thrilled to be here with you. Appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and your guests.
Of course. Well, I understand that you live in the Phoenix, Arizona area,
Yeah.
and you know that you're a father, you're a husband, you've had a variety of positions in your career, and now you're a new author. And so the name of your book is,
One Page Wealth Compass.
and that was just released in January of 2026, so a couple of
It,
months ago, very new. And
it,
so, David, what is the backstory of this book? Why did you write this book?
well, I will tell you right off, my intention was never to be an author, but something happened to me that I just couldn't keep quiet. And so I'll just explain briefly. When I was 63, I had just got fired after 18 years with the same company. I tell you, I would not wish that day on anybody. I did the math and it was brutal. If we drained all of our savings and all of our retirement, we would be broke by 65. And at this point, I'm thinking, who's going to hire me at my age? But Dalene, that wasn't the hard part. Or it was hard, very hard. But the hardest part was driving home that day, thinking, how am I going to tell my wife, Mary? We'd been married for 30 years, and she did not deserve the mess I just threw our life into. So anyways, after about 2 months of dead-end job searching, and my heart was not in it. I did not want to go back to the corporate world, but I had to, what I was going to do. I mean, we were going to run out of money if I didn't, so I had to do something. And so I did, I tried, but like I say, my heart wasn't in it. So after about 2 months of dead-end job searching, I decided to take a huge risk. And I went to work as an independent sales agent on straight commission. No salary, no safety net, no benefits. The first months were absolutely brutal. Cold calls, constant rejection, rookie mistakes. I think I got more no's in that month or two than I ever had in my life, it seemed like anyways. But looking back, I really believe that resistance, that rejection was the resistance I needed to build the mental muscles I needed to push myself through that dark period of my life. Anyways, after 10 months of grinding, and it was real grinding, I hit a milestone that was incredible. I was suddenly making more money than my good paying 6-figure corporate salary. And I thought, wow, we made it. But then I realized after about a minute, we didn't make anything. I'd been making pretty good money most of my career. And look where it got me, on the brink of financial disaster. I need to learn how to invest. I need to learn how to build some wealth because we had a short runway, retirement or whatever. I couldn't waste my time with a bunch of investment theories. So I just dug down myself. I read 21 books on financial planning. I listened to 13 financial podcasts faithfully, read countless blogs and newsletters. I was taking all this information in and I was taking the best stuff and putting it on this one piece of paper because I'm a real simple person. I got to keep it simple for me. And anyways, it was kind of a set it and forget approach because I had to run my company. I had to keep that thing going. And so I couldn't watch the stock market and all that kind of thing. So by age 69, 6 years later only, we achieved what I at one time thought was impossible. From terrified of being broke to a 7-figure portfolio and real financial freedom. I now know it is never too late to rewrite your story. Because if I can pull it off starting as late as 63, anybody can with the right direction. I truly believe that and know.
That is powerful. And there's so much there that we could unpack. I personally would love to hear a little bit more about, because I know you're a Christian.
Yes.
And so, how did that affect your faith, this whole experience?
Let me say this. If it wasn't for my faith, I know I couldn't have got through that. Even in the darkest times, I had to have something more than just grit and determination. I was guided by the Spirit in so many instances, so many blessings after a lot of work, though. I heard somebody say something once, I read this, where they were going through a really dark challenge in their life. They just wanted it taken away from them. They just didn't want it anymore. And they said a prayer, and the response, the impression they got in their mind from that prayer was, I love you too much to deny you of that experience. And that was exactly my situation. I did not want to go through that. I was fighting and kicking away. But looking back, it was because he loved me that I went through it, because I am a stronger person now. We are more free than we've ever been. We've been able to give like we've never been able to give before. And I needed that experience. If I hadn't got fired, I would have just been, I would have been the same thing, and I would have been maybe 69 now, and then at the edge of the thing, and then how would I recover from that? And so it was a blessing. The company that fired me, they were good people. They always treated me well. I should send them a fruit basket and thanking them for firing me, because it was truly a blessing. And I didn't have the guts or the courage. I'm being real honest with you right now. I knew about 8 years before I was fired I should have probably quit and moved on to something. But when you're in your late 50s and you're making good money, you'd be like a fool to just leave it, because it wasn't easy to get jobs, you know. So I needed that little nudge out of the corporate nest. The Lord knew it, and he did it in the most loving way. It was hard. It was very hard. But he gave me the strength to be able to deal with that kind of difficulty and that kind of a challenge. And I'm grateful for it to this day. I look back and it was a blessing, and I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything.
Sometimes God gives us opportunities to follow those nudgings that we get, and when we don't, then he sometimes intervenes, right? But it's all, like you said, out of love. And I just feel that if you had, like you said, stayed in that same job, you probably would never have written a book to reach more people, to be speaking to audiences like mine and helping people in such a powerful way, right? So I just thank you for sharing that story and for being real with us, because in today's social media, internet world, and full of AI and everything, you know, everything looks so perfect and glossy. And so it's just nice to know that Christ is at work through everyday people, average people, and the most unexpected experiences that we encounter can all be used for his glory and for the good of others.
And I think he likes weak people. I really do. Because I was very weak with a lot of faults. I mean, please, I'm not even comparing myself to this, but look at his apostles. I mean, look how, you know, what people in society might say how flawed in some respects in the world, in worldly respects they were. Now, I'm not even remotely comparing myself, but I'm just saying, I think he loves people who have needs and who have weaknesses and who struggle, and I think he wants to bless them and help them.
Absolutely, I agree. Your faith obviously flourished throughout all this as time went on. Your finances began to flourish throughout all this, and you began to take notes and so forth. So at what point did you feel led to write a book about it all?
Well, like I said, that was never my intention. It wasn't even a thought to do this, because I was just in the middle of a storm and I needed to, you know, get through it. But then when I got through it, and this is not a bragging thing or anything, I'm just saying the amount of wealth we accumulated is something that, and it just keeps growing. I just can't believe. I still have to pinch myself. The Lord has just blessed us so much, and we've been able to give, like, we love adopting people at Christmas anonymously, you know, families, stuff like that. And we used to do it in a very modest way, but now we can do it much more and just really affect people's lives in a positive way. It's such a blessing to do that. But no, I didn't have any intention of writing the book. But then when I got through it and I felt the blessings that just kept pouring forth, I said to myself, you know, we were in a dark storm, and I was handed a lifeline. And it was a lifeline through inspiration, to put this on one piece of paper that I could follow, my simple mind could understand and follow. And it would be the ultimate in selfishness if I kept it to myself. I felt like I really believe that, truly. And so I'm doing this. I'm going to give your audience the actual one-page PDF that I used, and I still use it today. I really do. It really still helps me tremendously today. In fact, it just keeps multiplying exponentially. It's just amazing how it works. I don't want any money. I just want to give it to you. Just give it free and just use it. And if you like it and you want to get the book, which is kind of a companion to it, that's great. It's really inexpensive on Amazon. I'm just doing it to help people out. And I don't want anybody in that boat that I was in. I don't want anybody 63 or 53 or even 43 or even 33 where they're in a situation that they don't have to be in. It's amazing how much progress you can make in a relatively short period of time when you're following correct principles. And when you're not following correct principles, you're just going in circles. Can I show you the story that truly inspired the whole Compass? Because I think it might make a good point for the people. Scientists at the Max Planck Institute did an experiment. What they did is they took people and they put them in the center of a dense German forest. And they told them to walk in a straight line to the edge. Now, these were confident and capable people, but when the clouds covered the sun, the GPS tracking showed they were gradually starting to walk in circular motions. And some of them were eventually ending up right back where they began. And yet, each and every one of them was absolutely convinced they were walking in a perfectly straight line. Dalene, that is my life story for 40 years. I was working hard, making decent money, doing what I thought was right in terms of investing and saving, but literally I was just going in circles. And at the end of the circles, when I was 63, I was really on the edge of a financial cliff. And so I said to myself, I just can't keep doing it. When I heard that story, when I was going through this, I said, that's what I need. I need a compass, but not like a metal compass, because that doesn't make sense for this. I need it on one piece of paper, like a one-page compass to keep me going in the right direction. Because I'm the kind of person, I like shiny new objects or the hot tips, and then I get off track, and that's what I did for 40 years. So I got to have blinders on. I just got to follow what I know is truth after a great deal of research, and it's a lot simpler than people realize. It's a lot simpler than people realize. They think finance is all this complicated thing. When you really get to core truth, it's not that complicated at all. And anyways, I'm just grateful that I can share it with other people, and the response has been wonderful. People are getting it. They're saying, David, you write it in a story. I fill the book with awful real life stories. So it's not like a technical financial with charts and graphs. Yeah, it has numbers and things like that, but it's when you tell somebody the story of how it works and then tell them a story of how somebody who messed up because they didn't do it right, then you show them the principle. They go, oh, I get it now. Yeah, I never knew that. I've heard that before, but I never. Now that you put it in a simple. So people told me, David, you can take the financial part out. Just the stories are so interesting. It's worth reading the book. But when you put them together, now it's a real tool, and that's what I meant it to be. Not to just be interesting stories, but to be a tool. So when you're done, you actually have a path and a way to make serious progress in your journey.
Oh, that's so good. So good. Because I was going to ask how you came up with the compass theme for the title of your book. So that answered that. And that's so interesting that they think they're walking straight and just going in circles. So interesting. And
nobody thinks they're going in circles, by the way. Everyone thinks they're walking a straight line.
Oh,
That's
yes.
yes, who would say that about themselves?
Agree. But I do think that maybe we should stop or pause here to just kind of camp out on the fact that these are principles that you learned through your own research, right? Like you aren't a licensed financial planner or anything like that. And you never worked in that regard or anything like that.
No. In fact, if you call me and say, David, I need you to, I'm sorry, I don't do that kind of thing. But I feel I could do it virtually through the book because it's not complicated. You don't need a high-paying guy who's going to take a big commission or a fee from your investments. You can really do it much more reasonably and inexpensively. And even if you want an advisor, I'm not against that, you need to know these principles because you need to be in charge of your own money. Nobody cares more about your money and your security than you do. I don't care what they say. No one cares more about it than you do. And so you can't just delegate something so important in your life to somebody else. Who knows what could happen? You need to be in charge of it, whether you're doing it yourself, like a do-it-yourself person like me, which is really simple. I'll tell you, it takes me like 5 minutes, literally a month. Or if you want to delegate to somebody else, you need to be in charge of him or her so they're doing what you want, not what they think is best.
So good. And obviously, I am not a financial advisor or licensed in that way. So if somebody is looking for specific recommendations for stocks or financial institutions, there are other people that you can go to for that information. Yeah. Our discussion here today is about general principles, and obviously they're proven because you've used them yourself. And I think when you were sharing about walking with blinders on and how you can do it best yourself, I think that can translate into writing a book as well. A lot of times we think we're writing when we're actually Googling a lot or doing some research here, or we're maybe working on our platform a little bit here, but we're not necessarily putting words on the page, right? And so we can go a year, 3 years, 5 years, and the book still isn't finished. So I'm just curious, what was your writing process like? Because if I'm understanding correctly, you were running your own business at this point.
Yeah, and very busy too.
And very busy. So how did you find time to write the book?
You know, it's funny. I am a morning person. I really am. I love the mornings. I get up at 4 o'clock every morning just because I like the quiet. No one's texting me. No one's calling me. No one's emailing me. And I just find that time so peaceful. And I love to read scriptures in the morning, but I also love to do creative work in the morning. And a while back, I just got this inspiration. I need to write the book. I need to tell other people about this. but I'm not a writer. I mean, I really am not. My wife is the writer in our family. She was actually a professional technical writer. When we first got married, she read my writing and she goes, David, this isn't even legible. I mean, how can people read this? It's not even comprehensible. And so she refined a lot of my stuff in business when I sent out memos. I'd have her look at them. But after a while, I learned from her. I say, I was kind of like the Liza Doodle. I kept learning and she kept teaching, and all of a sudden I didn't need her anymore. And it was like, wow. But that's the technical part of writing. That's a different thing, okay? But I truly, the Spirit was with me, I believe, on every page I wrote. The inspiration just flowed. It wasn't a struggle. I mean, writer's block wasn't even a thing for me because it just flowed. And I was looking forward to it every morning. Then I had to stop and go to work, or do my other job. It's just like when you feel the Spirit so strongly, how that gives you peace, and the creativity would just come out. I feel like I'm just the co-author of that book. I really am, because it just came to me. The messages and how I was supposed to word them and what stories I was supposed. I drew back on stories of people I knew and people I read about for years. I've kept a journal ever since I was 25, and that helped too, because I go back and look at details that are fuzzy. And I could, look them up. It was a real spiritual experience writing it. It really was, and it was a gift. I just am grateful for it. The fact of writing it was something. And my wife started reading. She goes, honey, I can't put this thing down. This is so interesting. I don't know. It just came out.
And as I was reading it too, I was like, oh, what's happening next? Or what's the next story? It was,
Yeah.
yes, I agree. And so another question I'm curious about is, did you self-publish the book? Did you go the traditional publishing route?
Yeah, I felt like I was supposed to self-publish it, and here's why. I've been told that if you go to a publisher, first of all, I'm not saying any publisher would ever publish me because I'm an unknown author. I've never written any kind of book like that before. But I felt like I needed to have control over the book. I just didn't want them changing things in it and making it more overly technical for people, or taking out some real spiritual stories in there that I really felt was good. And they go, oh, this isn't good for our financial. I'm not going to take that. I just wanted to have control over it. And so I did that, and I'm grateful to this day I did. The first week out, it was Amazon's hot new release pick, and the reviews coming in are just so moving. They aren't writing like a word or two, they're writing paragraphs, these reviews. Like, I'm saying, okay, they're getting it. They're feeling the Spirit I felt. They're getting the message I felt. That's really so satisfying. So I just couldn't see letting an editor just chop it up and make it different. I couldn't do that.
So obviously there's the Holy Spirit giving you the inspiration, and the words are flowing, and so you have purpose, and you know that this can help people. So that's your movement, right? Helping people really get a firm financial foundation in place, regardless of their age.
Yeah, that's right.
So how can other authors create their own movement? Something that you had mentioned to me was to the effect that you can create a platform without focusing only on the sales. So I'm just curious if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how other authors do it because I'm not in the author world so much, but I think you have to first have a powerful message. And I know every author feels that way. Every author feels that their message is powerful and unique, and I don't know that. And maybe they all are, I don't know. I think there's a couple 100 books a minute, and it's really ridiculous how many books are made. It's crazy. And so it's so easy to get your books lost, and it's so easy for you to get your message lost and just like no one's going to hear it. But when you have a mission, when you have a purpose, like I remember going through the 63 to 69 period and how difficult and challenging it was. And I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm not going to say this is going to be that much easier. I'm going to be on like 30 podcasts this month. That's a lot of work, and there's a lot of time commitment on the thing. But to me, it is a mission. I feel like I'm on a mission. I really do. And the Spirit has said, you are going to do this, David, because it's going to help other people. And so that's why I'm doing this. I don't know how other authors feel about what they wrote. Yeah, they can feel proud of it. But to me, I think, first of all, you have to have inside here, this is not just an interesting thing you're doing or not hobby or whatever. You have a purpose for this. And you have a purpose to change people's lives in a very profound and positive way. And I know this can happen because it happened to me, and I know other people who it's happened to. I don't know how other authors think. I'm just being honest with you. But if you don't have that core belief, I couldn't be on 30 podcasts in a month. I couldn't do all the work I did. I've put more blood, sweat, and tears in this thing, and I'll never get a penny out of it. I'm sure I'll be a negative. This is all, which is fine with that. I don't really care because I'm being blessed in other ways. But the point is this: when you're on a mission, it's not about money or anything. It's just about trying to bless other children of God, which is everybody, pretty much.
Yeah, I love that. And I think being in the author world, a lot of us tend to overcomplicate things because we're wanting to do things right. So we are looking and reading and finding and following people and this person says this and that person says that and that worked for this person and this worked for that person as far as platform building and book sales and book launch and all of that. But I love how you're coming at this author world as a financial person, and you're running your own business, and this is just something that you're doing to bless others with. And so you aren't overcomplicating things. You're just doing the next step that the Lord's leading you to.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding that correctly.
No, you're right. You're right. There's a charity, St. Mary's Food Kitchen. It's one of the biggest food banks in the country. And I go there every month to volunteer. I just love it to see the people come in and giving them food and for their family and helping sustain them. But I have to admit, a couple of years ago, I've been doing this for many years now, I thought, they need more help than just food. It's like, give them a fish and feed them for a day, teach them how to fish, feed them for a lifetime. I said, they need more than just giving them food. They need to understand how to build wealth, even on modest income. And I can tell you stories of people on very modest incomes who built wonderful wealth and people on very high incomes who didn't build wealth at all. It was a disaster for them. Maybe that was part of the inspiration, seeing those people at St. Mary's Food Bank. They need more help than just, here's food for the day or the week. They need something to get out of that situation.
Well, David, I could speak to you for another hour easily, but I know that we both have other things that we need to get to. But I know that our audience has really taken to you and love everything that you have to say. And so I want to give you an opportunity to share how they can get that free resource that you mentioned and how they can learn more about you and your book.
Absolutely. What they can do is, I'll just show you the secret sauce right here, okay? This is the one-page wealth compass, okay? And it's a PDF. And what it is, if they go to onepagewealthcompass.com, you just put your email in, it'll go instantly to your email, but you'll also get my free newsletter. Like I said, there's nothing to sell here at all. I just want to give you some virtual coaching. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'd like to give you some virtual coaching to kind of support that, okay? But here's what's neat about this compass. I call it the 3D view. This is your 30,000 foot view. This is where, okay, am I going in the right direction? Did I get off course? And these 9 trail markers will tell you where you're at. And you can know exactly where you're at by reading this. You go, well, I'm already on number 3, getting out of debt. Okay, well, that's great. Other people maybe, no, I need income help with my career. Start where you're at and then go from that point on. These are what I call the 5 North Star principles. What they do is they keep you out of trouble. You know how when you hear a new thing or other thing and you want to go off on a tangent and then all of a sudden you're off the whole program? So this keeps you in the North Star. You go, oh, that's against my North Star principle. I can't do that. No, that's not going to work. Okay. And it just kind of keeps you reined in, because I need to be reined in because 40 years I was unreined. Okay. But then the action plan is this, that's the actual book, okay, which I encourage you to consider getting this too, because this is the ground map. This will tell you, turn right here, take a left here, that kind of thing, where this is the 30,000 foot view keeping you in the right direction. So when you got these two together, oh my gosh, it's powerful. And then the third thing is what I call the navigation links. Say you're on getting out of debt step, okay, just to pick one of them. You go, okay, I need more help than this, David. I'm in debt in a big way, and I need you to tell me how to get out. Then it says, chapter 4. So you go to chapter 4 in the book, and that's specifically about that problem on that step that you're on. So you don't have to go through everything again in the book. You can just go to that one. I recommend reading the book through once so you can get the big picture of it. But then you don't have to, every step you go on, it'll just take you right to that thing. Have you ever read a book, Dalene, and you got a really good idea out of it, and then you say, oh, I'm going to apply that. That could change my life. And then 2 years later, you come across that idea again, and you go, oh, geez, I meant to do that, and I never got around to it.
Yeah, well, that happens all the time.
It does. And me too. I'm the same way. So anyways, this is designed to stop that from happening. Here's why I say that. What I do, and I tell you this in the book, is I put on my calendar every Friday at 4 o'clock, I get out my one-page wealth compass, and for 2 minutes, we're talking 2 minutes, okay, I review it. I just do a review of it. And where am I at? What step am I on? And did I violate anything? Like last week, I went and made an impulse purchase, and then I said, oh, geez, yeah, I was supposed to wait 24 hours on those things. I wasn't supposed to do it right then. I was supposed to wait to make sure that it was a real necessary purchase, because it was impulse. And that kind of makes it so you can't say 2 years from now, oh, I meant to do that. Because the next week, you're looking at it again. And then the next week, you're looking at it again. You go, wait, I got to finally do this. It's kind of your navigation. It keeps you on the straight path to wealth. Once I did this, I understood something. Clear direction beats misdirected speed every time. For 40 years, I was spinning my wheels, going here, going there, going there. When I got clear direction, Dalene, in 6 years, I accomplished so much more in terms of building wealth than I did in the other 40 years put together. So that's why I'm saying it's so critical to have that clear direction. And this compass is what gives it to you. And it's free. And it's one page. It's not like, oh, I got to read all this thing. It's really one page. And so if they go to onepagewealthcompass.com, that's the first thing they'll see. And then there's other resources on there's a blog, there's other things you can look around, but again, everything's free. But that's the thing I encourage everyone to do. Even if you think, oh, I got all the money in the world, I don't need this thing. Well, get the compass. You know why? Because I use this in other areas of my life, believe it or not, this template, not the financial. I have a one-page health compass. But I'll tell you one more compass I have that's really important. I have a spiritual compass because there are certain spiritual principles that really guide my life. And I want them on one piece of paper so I can review them on a regular basis so I don't get off track there. And so you can use this as inspiration or as a template to other important areas of your life beyond just money, okay? But money is very important. It's very important because that gives you freedom to bless other people and help other people in many ways, and yourself and your family.
That is so good. Thank you for sharing all of that. And how you ended that too about the wealth is one thing that I had meant to touch on earlier. You know, a lot of Christian authors seem to have such conflict about whether they should sell their book or not sell their book. They don't want to come across as the secular wealthy, where it's all about padding your own bottom line and your own bank account. But there's so much more to wealth, and especially biblical wealth. There's nothing wrong with having money as long as your heart is in the right place, right? As long as you're looking to serve others. I mean, there's the whole parable of the talents and all of that in the Bible that we can go to, that wealth in and of itself is not a bad thing. And so I wanted to bring that back to the forefront too, because some people might see the title of your book and say, oh, wealth, maybe I should shy away from that.
That's another reason I wrote this book, because it's not about getting rich. It's just about retiring with dignity, you know. Or I know one guy, his wife died because she couldn't get the help that she needed medically. It wasn't covered or whatever, and they didn't have the money. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is so much more than money.
I encourage people to get this free guide, the one pager, but also book, because there is so much really good information. I just thank you so much, David, for your time and your willingness to share so much with us. I know that I have learned a lot, and I imagine that the listeners have as well. I wish you every continued blessing and success with your book and your business and in your life.
Thank you, Dalene. It was a pleasure being here with you, and an honor, and I hope your listeners got something out of it. And you can send me a question if you want. I read them all and I respond to them all.
I'll be putting all those links in the show notes as well, just for ease of clickability, and then you can just go right over there and get the book, get the free download, and reach out to David. So again, thank you, and until next week, everyone, God bless.